Kristin, and it's time for some August empties. It seems particularly full to me, but I think last month I didn't have very many, so I don't know. Let's just see what happens. I'm actually filming this. I think this might be going up closer to Labor Day. I'm not actually sure. I'm filming this on the 29th, and it is, the point of me telling you this is that it's for some reason so humid here that I'm having to embrace my curl. This is kind of my natural wave with a couple of curls put in, and I mean, sometimes you just have to embrace your curl, right? All right, so let's go ahead and I didn't organize my trash like normal, but I'm going to try to keep them in kind of normal categories. So the first thing I have here is the Ulta Adium Premium Round Cotton Pads. And it's funny, I had done a rehaul, I think on these not that long ago, or talked about these, and I couldn't remember where they were, and I happened to find them. And these are nice. They fall apart a little bit on me when I'm taking off maybe not waterproof, but maybe kind of water resistant or a longer hold mascara and that sort of thing. But they are good. I would consider purchasing them again, particularly when I run out of the cool ones that I like so much, because those are only available in Canada. All right, let's talk about a couple of hairsprays. One I used up, not a shock, and one that I didn't. And I'm going to see, I have a friend that likes a firmer hold. I'm going to see if she wants to use this, but I wanted to talk about it. This is the John Frieda Frizz Ease Moisture Barrier Firm Hold Hairspray. This is practically full. This is like, there's no moving your hair. I like to have a little bit of hold, but I also want a hairspray that I can kind of work through it and have some movement in my hair, and you are not going to get any movement in your hair with this. I can't really speak to the moisture barrier portion of it, but I just wanted to give a heads up that I didn't like this, because I think I had shown it in a haul or something. So there's that. And then, of course, my tried and true, when I go back to over and over, is the Tresemme Tray 2. Love this. Absolutely. Will repurchase. Not a chance in heck that I'm repurchasing this. All right, so let's talk about a couple. I think that's, oh, you know what? No, I do have another hair thing in here. This is the Redken All Soft Argan 6 oil. And this is a oil, you know, like a hair oil that you would put in when, what I do with hair oil, let's just back up, shall we? Let's bring it in. When I put a hair oil in my hair, I generally do it when it's wet, like it's the first thing that goes on my hair. And then after if I've blown it dry with a round brush and I feel like it just needs, the ends need a little something, then I use a little bit more. This one I didn't feel worked for that at all. I could use it when my hair was wet, and that's how I used it up. I don't even remember where I got this. Some kind of a gift with purchase. It was nice. It's not something I would repurchase. I really like my macadamia nut oil so much. All right. This is the L'Occitane shower oil, the almond shower oil. I love this. I use this for shaving my legs. I've probably talked about this, I don't even know how many times. I will absolutely repurchase this. I just haven't done it yet. I have a few little ones, like kind of sort of travel size ones of these. I really only need one travel size that I can just keep refilling. So I'm going to try to use those up and hang tight to the VIB sale, but I will absolutely be repurchasing that. And then here's one that I find interesting. So this is the Nivea In Shower Body Lotion, and this is the one for dry skin. Now I talked about and raved about the one in the really deep blue color like this. It's kind of more like this blue, and it was the dry to very dry, I think, and that one I loved. I loved the scent of that one. I loved how it worked. I really felt like I could go without moisturizer on top of it. This one I didn't feel like that with. So clearly there is something to be said for the dry skin versus the very dry skin, and I do tend to be dry head to toe aside from my eyelids. So while I like this, if you saw me talk about this Nivea product and you picked this one instead of the dark one and you didn't like it as well, I apologize, because it's the dark one that I really feel like is good, and this one is just okay. So I would not purchase that again. I would purchase the dark one. This is the deodorant that I've been using now since I went away from the Donna Karan Cashmere Mist, which still makes me sad. But I wasn't getting through all of them because of whatever defect they had, and I'm kind of gun shy now to buy some more. Anyway, this is the Dove Dry Spray in Nourished Beauty. I really like the scent. The ones that I have used is the cucumbery one and then this one. And I think I like this one the best. I don't know how to explain it as far as scent-wise, but I like this. These last forever, too. A couple of months. All right. I have one hand soap here, and this was really good. I was really impressed with it. It was a nice summer shade. This is not a shade, this is a scent, and it's in Watermelon Lemonade. I've heard other people talk about how they love this. I didn't know until I had the soap. I really like, for sure, purchase that again. All right, I think the rest of this might be like makeup and skincare, so let's just dig in here and see what we've got. So Take two. So this is the MAC Makeup Remover, the one in the purple. I love this. It takes me forever to go through one of these. I usually use it. It has a little hole on the end here, and I usually will take a Q-tip on there and clean up. I have one of these that I have already repurchased. I had it in my kit, and then I took it out to use here, and I will put another one back in my kit when I need it. But at any rate, this is the, it just says Pro Eye Makeup Remover, and it just works really well. If you know, sometimes you can cleanse your face to high heavens and your eyes and everything, and you wake up the next morning and you still have a little bit of, you know, like schmutz there. what? Like residue. That is the word I'm looking for. A little bit of maybe mascara residue or something. And you just, you know, I always want a clean slate, clean canvas when I'm doing anything with my eyes. So that's what I use that for. I really like it. I don't use it for taking it off like in my bathroom. I have it at my vanity. So I will back to MAC that. Another thing I get to back to MAC, I'm so excited, you guys. I've been working through those two foundations. Last month I showed you the Gellar that I finally worked through, and this month I finally worked through the MAC Mineralized, and I even went in there with a beauty sponge to try to get out what I can. I don't know how to show you that it's actually gone, but I've gotten everything that I can get out of there out. And I have to tell you, I really liked this, even on its own. Well, actually, I prefer it on its own because it has just this really nice, natural, but good coverage finish. I don't think I did a review on this, which is really lame, considering I worked through a whole one. I just had to pause a minute and, like, reprimand myself. I don't know why I didn't do full, and it's too late now because I can't do a demo. But it doesn't, there's not enough longevity, which is why I don't think I will repurchase again. However, I would have to say, if I have another foundation that is like the Gellar Tenue de Perfection, which is so, like, you know, end up being a product that was too drying on its own, but it was a great sort of cocktail with this, I would buy another one of these to work through a foundation like that, if that makes sense. And not that I have a need to, but I'm just saying, if you don't need more than 8-hour longevity and you really like that sort of dewy, natural finish but with some coverage, you might really like the MAC Mineralized. Okay, moving on. Well, I do have one more thing in here, and this is, I had a 3-pack of these. This is the second one that I'm working through, and this is the Loofah Exfoliating Soap by Earth Therapeutics. I was able to find these the last time I showed an empty for this, and this is the one in Peaches and Passion, and it's really nice. I really enjoy the scent. And these have like scrubby things like right in the bar, and it's all throughout the bar. So it's not like you use the outer like third and then there's nothing left on the inside. It really is all throughout the bar, and I really like this. It's vegan and cruelty-free, in case anybody is interested in that. So I'll link that below, where I think I found it on Amazon maybe. I can't remember for sure, but at any rate, I'll link that below. I'm laughing every time I say at any rate now, because that is just something I've always said. And somebody put a comment in one of my videos recently that said that it could be a drinking game to drink every time I say at any rate. I need to try. Clearly, I need to stop saying that. All right. Now, they weren't mean about it. Just for the record. All right, I have a couple skincare things. I guess I'm switching away from makeup and back to skincare for a minute. Whatever. This is the Estee Lauder Re-Nutrife Hydrating Cream Cleanser. I did use this. I did not cut it open. It's a 2.5 ounce that I got in some sort of gift with purchase. I have learned that the Re-Nutrife line is really expensive, and something about this line just does not work for me. The foundations didn't work for me. I've not really loved any of the moisturizers, and I didn't love this either. I actually felt like it was not moisturizing at all, quite frankly. So I would not purchase that. And then the other thing was the Estee Lauder Re-Nutrife Ultimate Lift Age Correcting Eye Cream. Now, I did like this. I didn't love it, but I did like it. I really feel like it's, it maybe did a little bit of lifting, but it didn't do much as in the way of moisturizing. So I kind of felt like they were a little bit drier when I was using this, but it was okay. If you like this line and haven't tried this, you might like this, and this is a 0.24 ounce of it. So, and that line is really expensive. I think I just said that, but I'm telling you it's expensive. All right, I went through another primer. I had my goal this year, I think, in my use it up was 2 primers, if I remember right. And I went through one already, and this was one that was on my list, and this is the Chanel Le Blanc de Chanel. I did really like this. I would absolutely purchase this again. It's one that I like in the summer. I think in the winter it might be a tad drying, but it did really just kind of add, not a glow, but just like a little bit of a brightening sort of a base, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, I liked that. I would purchase that again. By the way, I'm still doing my totals, my monthly totals, and then my yearly grand total of what I've used up in my empties, and that I'll have that below in case, for those of you that are interested. I had one more Renutrief thing in here. I'm telling you what, I had just worked through all these when I got like a gift with purchase and got them all again. So this is the Renutrief Ultimate Lift Age Correcting Cream. I've said before, it's fine. It's nothing, it's a nice moisturizer. It's just not earth shattering and not worth the money, in my humble opinion. All right, I finally used up, and it's hard for you to tell, but I really did. There's nothing that's just like pan there, because I had scraped this and repressed it. And this was the Smashbox Photo Filter Creamy Powder Foundation in the shade 2. I loved this. I already missed this. But I did really, really like it. And I'll tell you what, and I'll probably talk about this at the end of the year, I've definitely learned by doing my use it up thing that you just don't go through products as fast as you really think you do. And I probably don't need to have as many powder foundations in my backup as I do. And you know, you guys saw me do my foundation declutter. I did do that, and I may do the same thing with my powder foundations. I haven't quite decided, but once I've worked through a lot of things, I would absolutely repurchase this again. Absolutely, 100%. It just adds a nice, you know, a little bit more coverage over a foundation that is maybe not as fuller coverage. You can use it with a fluffier brush to just add a little bit. I really, really like this. It was definitely when it was in my 2015 favorites last year, right? Yes, 2015. This is 2016. Oh, I keep finding skincare at the bottom. This is the Sephora. It was a little sample size of the Sephora Age Defy Moisture Cream SPF 15 Sunscreen. I cut this open. I actually really liked this. I was surprised. I don't think this would work for me in the winter. I used this daytime, and I don't think I ever used it at night because it wasn't enough, but I use this daytime, and I did really like it. Again, I don't think it would be enough for me in the winter when my skin gets really dry, but I did really like that. So I'm really trying to make a concerted effort that when I get samples in, I use them instead of shoving them in a drawer. So I really don't have the backup of samples that I once had way back in the day. All right, I finished this. This was sent to me a long time ago, and it has taken me a long time to work through. It probably takes me, this is a chapstick by Sebamed. It's the lip defense for dry and chapped lips. I generally just use this at night, unless my lips get chapped. I use a lip balm every single night. It's the last thing I do before I go to bed. And that was what I used this for. And I actually really dug, you probably can't tell, I really dug in there. I really liked this. It was nice. It has SPF 30, although I don't think that does me any good in the darkness of my bedroom. But I did really like it. I didn't notice any issues with my lips in the morning. I still prefer the lip drench, I think it is. There's just something about that I feel like adds a little bit more protection, but I did really like it. A couple of things I'm going to pass on to some actually younger friends of mine that will enjoy using these because they're not super pigmented. I talked about these in my haul update. It's the CoverGirl Queen collection. The one is in Desert Bronze and one's in Brass and Sass. These don't have very much pigmentation at all, so I'm just going to pass those along to somebody who would enjoy using those. We'll put those over here instead of over there. Before I get to one more makeup thing, I want to talk about this. So this is a toothpaste, and you guys have seen me show the Arm & Hammer one before. Well, I went in because I just had gone to the dentist, and I still felt like I was having some hot, cold, and sweet sensitivity on one of my teeth. So I went in and I was like, did you miss something? And they took a look, and there really is just kind of, from too vigorous of brushing apparently, my gum has pulled away a little bit from one of my kind of molars. And he suggested that I switch over to the sensitive a sensitive toothpaste. So this is the Colgate Sensitive Prevent and Repair with Whitening Gentle Mint, because I still wanted to have a little bit of whitening because I'm, coffee, right? This really, he said give it 4 weeks and then see what happens. And it really did work. It took away all of my tooth sensitivity. So I would recommend this if you have some teeth sensitivity and you haven't tried something like this. I was skeptical at best, but I really think it works. And like I said, you have to give it about 4 weeks, but it did work. All right, we're getting down to the end here, my friends. I did use up one of the liners that I had, and this is the one it was in Champagne or something, I think it was the Pixi liner. I can no longer sharpen it. I used this up, and I'll talk about this, you know, and might use it up, but I used it as an eye base to use it up. All right, last but not least, and I'll talk about this when I do my Sephora Playbox reviews, and I don't think you will have seen that yet. This is by Nest Fine Fragrances, and it's the scent in Citrine. And I'll list the notes here or somewhere. And this I really liked. It was like a fresh kind of floral scent, but it didn't last at all. 2 hours, maybe. So I'm curious if anybody else has noticed that, because I'm fairly certain this is a relatively expensive perfume. So I'm just curious if anybody else had noticed that. And like I said, I probably will talk about this in my Sephora Play box review as well. But anyway, I loved the scent. It just was gone in a couple of hours. All right, my friends, so that is everything. I hope that you enjoyed this. I will tell you quickly what is on my face. I have the L'Oreal Pro Glow Infallible still as my foundation. And I used the the Laura Gellar Balance and Brighten today as my powder foundation. I used the Makeup Revolution Baked Bronzer. And it's the Vivid Baked Bronzer in Bronzed Fame. And I'm not sure that this particular shade is available in the States. This was sent to me by my friend Lorna. And then on my eyes today, I have the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Bad to the Bronze. Then I have a little bit of Wet n Wild Nutty over the top of that. Then I have the Camp Cosmetics, this shade, which is one of their matte shades, in Captivate, and the outer corner and Pulled In. And then for liner today, I used the Chanel Waterproof Stilo in Eros, which is that kind of rusty, sort of burgundy shade. And lastly, on my lips, I have the Neutrogena Moisture Smooth Color Stick in Rich Raisin. I feel like this is a really good sort of transition into fall shade. It's deeper, but not like crazy deep. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and list them below. I hope you're having a great day, and in everything that you do, be beautiful. Bye!